In this corner, the all-new Ultimate Batwing by Spin Master. And in this corner, the Michael Keaton Batmobile, also by Spin Master. One is by air, one is by land, but which Bat vehicle's the best bang for your buck? Place your bets and stick around, it's time for my very first vehicular versus. Welcome to 5 Points of Articulation, where I review action figures and then articulate 5 points to help you decide if you want to add that figure to your collection. The 5 points I discuss are packaging, presentation, posability, playability, and price. I'm Jason, and if you enjoy my content, please like, share, subscribe, do all the YouTube rigmarole. Starting off with the packaging, and both of them come in open boxes. On the back we get some glare, renders that make these figures look way more dynamic than they probably are. And down here we have Spin Master's tried and true graphic letting you know that these are 4-inch scale figures. And I can't help but notice that Marvel's new Epic Hero series is suspiciously identical. Also, yeah, I went back and got Venom. Don't judge me. Moving over to the Batwing, and it's so big I can't fit the whole thing in my review area. Oh, I'm sorry, I meant the Ultimate Batwing. Not exactly sure what makes this one ultimate, especially with this big hunkin' 27-inch version available. On the back we can see I've done a much better job of managing the glare, and is it just me or does it kinda look like Batman's trying to catch Barry? Probably the closest thing that Ezra Miller will ever come to facing justice. Not only are these boxes colorful and fun, they show you everything you're gonna get, they're perfect for getting kids excited, and adult collectors disappointed. That, however, is a conversation for later in the video. That said, the back of the Batmobile box does look a bit more dynamic, and somehow managed to include the 4-inch scale graphic that for some reason the Batwing omitted. True, these are minor details, but when you're talking about the Flash, sometimes the race is going to be tight. For packaging, this round goes to the Batmobile. Moving on to presentation, and starting with the figures, I'm pleasantly surprised by the job that Spin Master's done. For only being 4 inches, they've worked in a lot of detail. Not only sculpted, but also painted. The Flash doesn't really look like Ezra Miller. Oh darn. But considering the size, the Michael Keaton likeness is pretty good. Another nice addition is the fabric used for the cape. It's a lot softer and more like the material that Kenner used, as opposed to the crinkly stuff that they use for their regular figures. And considering how cartoonishly exaggerated their regular figures are, these ones are surprisingly realistic, even as compared to the Battinson figures from last year. That said, they're quite a bit shorter, which is a bummer. Although to be fair, for some reason Batman is significantly shorter than the Flash. Also, a reminder that this is the Batman Returns costume, so if you wanted to swap some parts and do some painting, you might be able to pull off a custom. Of course, I know what you're really here for are the vehicles. Stem to stern, and the Batmobile is 12.5 inches long, and at its widest point is 5.5 inches side to side. Compare that to the Battinson Mobile. I understand that they did make him a little bit bigger than Keaton, but both are marketed as 4-inch scale. The Battinson Mobile is 13 inches and 6.5 inches wide. In real life, the Keaton Mobile is 20 feet long and 7 feet wide. The Battinson Mobile was 9 feet wide, but definitely wasn't as long, so you can imagine my surprise when I found this in Walmart. That said, the details are pretty good. All the different panels and vents are present and accounted for. Missed opportunity to put the silver on the bats, and also a missed opportunity to make the tires rubber. These are just smooth plastic. Again, compare that to the Battinson Mobile. Sliding the canopy open, we can see there's not much going on in here. I hate to beat a dead horse, but if the Bat boot fits. Criticisms aside, I do like all the details on the rocket booster, and to Spin Master's credit, they did at least paint the lights. Fortunately, the new Batwing is a new design, so I have nothing to compare it to. It's hard to fit within the dimensions of my camera, but it's 12.5 inches long and 16 inches wide. Like I said, this is a new design and isn't based on the 1989 Batwing. Similar to the Batmobile, it has a lot of different paneling, so aesthetically it does look as though it belongs in the same universe. Looking underneath, there's some turbines. I'm guessing it's going to be able to launch vertically like a drone, but it does also have drop-down landing gear. I'm assuming it's a bit small compared to its size in the movie because it can only seat one versus all 3 characters, and unlike the Batmobile, which at least pretended to have a dashboard, this one makes no effort whatsoever to have a cockpit. That said, as a generic Batwing, I really like it. Since it's not based on the 1989 film, I feel like it's going to have a lot more potential to use with different Batman figures. That, however, is a conversation for playability. As for this category, the figures all look equally great. Again, just look at how crisply that bat symbol's painted. But while the Batmobile has all the broad strokes of the 1989 original, the dimensions, cheap wheels, and lack of interior really do work against it. And that's to say nothing of the lack of detail and gaping hole underneath. At the very very least, Spin Master didn't do that here too. For presentation, this round goes to the Batwing. Moving on to posability, and the articulation scheme is the same between all three figures. The heads move side to side, they have swivel hinge shoulders, single jointed swivel elbows, below the utility belt they have ball jointed hips, they can kick this high, and do a perfect split, and then moving down the leg they have thigh cut and single jointed swivel knees. It would be great if they had something in the ankle, but for a 4-inch figure at this price point, it's enough for me. Also, for displaying purposes, you'll be happy to know that a McFarlane figure stand works just fine. As for the vehicles, all 4 wheels on the Batmobile can spin, and the canopy can slide open. The Batwing has drop-down landing gear, but the wheels do not spin on that. And of course, its canopy can hinge open. Compare that to the Batmobile that had a turnable steering wheel, and while the Keaton Mobile might have missed a few opportunities, it is still one more joint than the Batwing. For posability, this round goes to the Batmobile. Moving on to playability, and the figures don't come with any accessories. Instead, I think of these figures as the accessories that go with the vehicles. The Batmobile has electronic lights and sounds, so then what can the Keaton Mobile do? I mean, you can put him in there. What about the ultimate Batwing? I mean, you can put him in there. Not to sound like an old man yelling at clouds about how much better my toys were, but let's talk about the Toy Biz one for a second. Released in 1989, this was the very first Michael Keaton Batmobile ever produced. And to my knowledge, it's the only one ever made that can accommodate a passenger. I no longer have them, unfortunately, but it did feature launching missiles, a trunk you can open up and put bad guys in. It was also supposed to make a sound when you rolled it back and forth, similar to the Superpowers Batmobile by Kenner. I can't imagine who would have disconnected such a noisy feature when I was a kid. Taking a look at a picture of the Hot Toys Batman and Batmobile, and we can see that this is actually a lot closer in scale than this. It almost feels like it would be in better scale with 3-inch figures like Page Punchers. Sorry, I don't have a Batman. As a kid, I didn't have the Toy Biz Batwing, but I do have the Kenner one. Not only was it a great recreation of the Batwing as it appeared in the movie, but you could also take the wings off and turn it into a car, and then you could put the wings together to make a backglider. And just like the Toy Biz Batmobile, it also had missile launchers that I sadly no longer have. Even the McFarlane Superpowers one has a pop-open canopy and a capture claw. I'm not saying that they have to have crazy action features, though it's not like Spin Master doesn't do that with other Batmobiles. I'm just sad that this generation of kids won't be able to have as much fun with their first Keaton Batmobile as I was able to have with mine. On that subject, let's see what other figures we can fit in there. First up, and Toy Biz towers over it. As such, this is about as far as you can get him in there. Next up is the Dark Knight Collection, also looking a bit oversized. I'm happy to report that not only does he fit, you can completely close the canopy. Moving over to Mattel, and here's their 1989 figure. Mind the cape, but yeah, he fits in there great. Since we never got a Batmobile to go with this figure, I might just display it like this. For one more Mattel, and I'm very curious about Arkham City. The flared cape is a bit of a pain, but it can be done. Since he is a bit bigger, I am curious about Robert Pattinson. No problem there. With that said, a regular Spin Master shouldn't be a problem, and indeed, he fits just fine. And even though he looks almost comical standing next to it, I can't help but wonder about Conroy. He can go in, but you're not going to be able to close it without scuffing something. That being the case, I wouldn't try any figure bigger than this. Oh, alright, maybe just one more. As for the Batwing, Toy Biz won't fit in there at all. Likewise, Kenner's too big, Mattel is too big, even Arkham City is a bit too crammed. Even Battinson, who can sit in there, doesn't want to close. The regular Spin Master is fine, which is good because he doesn't have a proper Batwing yet, but honestly, it really does feel limited to the Batman that comes with it. Since it's not based on the 1989 film, I feel like it's going to have a lot more potential to use with different Batman figures. Ultimate, indeed. Functionally, both these vehicles are the same, but one of them can accommodate more figures, adding more value. For playability, this round goes to the Batmobile. This leaves us with nothing left to discuss but the price. Despite its large size, the Batwing and its 2 figures are only $24.99. The Batmobile, by contrast, is $33, the same price as the Battinson Mobile with its rubber tires, spinning steering wheel, and electronic lights and sounds. For some perspective, this Batmobile, which is much bigger and has action features, is only $20. I get that this set has 2 figures instead of 1, but so does the Batwing, and there's no way that this tiny thing is worth $7 more than all of this. For price, this round goes to the Batwing, but the battle goes to the Batmobile Batmobile 3-2. I know I've been critical, but it is still a nice Batmobile and really nice to see back on toy store shelves. That said, if you can find an old Toy Biz one or an old Kenner one for a decent price, maybe hold out for that. If you like this video, check out one of these. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back again real soon, but until then, play nice and have fun.